All right, the other game I wanted to preview here, Kentucky at Vanderbilt, another SEC East showdown. Kentucky, they have the ability to lock up the number 2 seed in the SEC East by beating the Commodores. Of course, Vanderbilt has not won an SEC game this season. That came agonizingly close against the Gamecocks, just couldn't get it done. Now they're facing a Kentucky team that's lost 3 in a row. And before you sit here and say, well, why are we even previewing this game? This is going to be a damn blowout. This series has been pretty close here several times, particularly during the Mark Stoops era. Last season, it was a 3-point game. 3 years ago, 7-point game. I mean, this is not going to be a gimme by any stretch, and you got to wonder, how excited is Kentucky going to be to play this game after getting that gut punch against Tennessee? Vanderbilt's had 2 weeks to prepare. That's certainly got to help them in this matchup. And how about this? Vanderbilt, 11 interceptions the defense has gotten, including 6 games in a row with at least 1 interception. Their interception total 11 is number 3 in the SEC, number 15 nationally, while Kentucky has thrown 10 interceptions. That ranks 100th nationally. So that's exactly what the Commodores are going to need. It's a blackout down there in Nashville. They're wearing black head to toe, I believe, for this matchup. You get Will Levis to throw you a ball or two like they did Alontae Taylor last week, like he did against the Mississippi State defense. All of a sudden, Vanderbilt's got a fighting shot in this one. And Vanderbilt also looks to be getting Ken Seals back from injury. He's not played since October 9th. Mike Wright's come in and played admirably. He's a great runner, just not the passer that Ken Seals is. We've seen Kentucky here 2 weeks in a row getting torched through the air. Certainly Vanderbilt just doesn't have the weapons or the offense that Mississippi State or Tennessee has, but you got to imagine they're studying this film and saying, hey, this is a great opportunity to get Ken going, to get some of these receivers going against Kentucky's secondary that has lost its way a little bit this season towards the tail end of this losing streak. And, hey, that's why college football is so great. I mean, 9 times out of 10, Kentucky's probably going to decimate this Vanderbilt team, but it just doesn't always play out that way. And how will Kentucky respond? It wasn't that long ago. They were top 10 in the country, I believe. I mean, we're talking 3-4 weeks ago. Now, all of a sudden, they're out of the rankings. They've lost 3 in a row. What do they got to play for? New Year's 6 was looking imminent. Now, after all these losses, I mean, they are just tumbling. And how will that affect the psyche of these young athletes? I mean, that remains to be seen. Going out on the road, you're not going to have the BBN behind you like you have in the Florida game and the LSU game and obviously the Tennessee game. All these big games, you've had your home field crowd at night, and until last week you were winning all those games. Again, I don't know. This is an interesting spot here for the Kentucky Wildcats, and particularly Will Levis, who I know he had a relatively big game against Tennessee, but he had the big mistake too. He cannot afford to have those mistakes against the Vanderbilt Commodores and let them hang in the game, because that's how you get beat on the road in the SEC. And, that's something that Mark Stoops kind of talks about here, his secondary, how they've been kind of playing a little poorly here in recent weeks on the competitiveness of the series. And interestingly, on how he can relate to Clark Lee and the rebuild going on there in Nashville, whereas Clark Lee, on the flip side, getting his starting quarterback back, it sounds like, and how much the Commodores needed that bye week to finish the season strong.
The passing defense, obviously, though, that's the continuous theme. You're a secondary coach. Do you take that any more personally?
I do. It bothers me. It does. And the only thing we can control is how we practice, how we improve. I will say, after watching the film, the corners, I felt like, 2 games ago, or maybe at times, were maybe not competing at the level that I expect out of them. And I did see that Saturday. I did see improvement. You may not, because you're like, what the heck, you gave up so many yards, but you do, watching specific guys and seeing specific matchups and them winning they won more than I thought just watching the game live. Again, there were some obvious situations that I don't need to call out any one specific player or anything like that, but there were some missed tackles at the safety and on the perimeter that we got to leverage the ball. It's as simple as leveraging the football. I mean, how many times have I talked about that? I can't talk about it anymore. And we got to get it taught. Football 101, leverage the damn ball.
Probably fans, and I would think some media folks as well, look at Vandy and say, that's Vandy. And yet the series is virtually even. And they've given you guys a lot of trouble through the years.
Our players know that. We fear no one and respect everybody. You know what I mean? So we're beyond that. We know at that point we respect the game. Do we always play our best? No. I can't sit here and say that. We don't. But and I know, watching football, watch pros, watch college, it's not like that. I try to tell you that early in the year. It's not like, oh, that's a win, that's a loss, that's a win, that's a loss, that's a win. That's not how it works. And these are young men that go through a lot. And it is our job. It's a challenge. We have to get them ready every week. Physically, they go through things, and we're going through a lot. We're down 3 starting defensive linemen. But, again, nobody cares. That's not an excuse. It is what it is. Other people are down players, too. And, so we're beat up a little bit. When you're inexperienced in the secondary and you have 3 starting defensive linemen down, it's really not a good combination. I'd like to have our best players and our best pass rushers out there, but they're not. So it is what it is.
You left Notre Dame to go back to Nashville.
Pardon me?
Clark Lee.
Yeah.
Left Notre Dame to go back there, and they've announced some facility upgrades, but obviously that's a tough job. I was wondering maybe you could relate to that climb. Just that makes sense.
Yeah, I can relate to it. It's difficult. It's difficult, So, but he'll do a great job. Seems like he knows what he's doing. He seems like a good guy. I don't know him very well, but they're fundamentally very well coached. You could see they're playing inspired, and that's the sign of a well-coached team. And results will ultimately come if they continue to do what they're doing, because you could see it with the product on the field, the way they're coached, the way they play tough, the way they play fundamental. So, I have a lot of respect for what they're doing. I know it's very difficult.
What about Will's performance, especially after having some struggles in Mississippi State, the way he bounced back? Were you expecting him, the way he had practiced during the week, to have a good game?
I was. I think you all can tell when I'm in here that when I say I'm not overly concerned, we're never happy when somebody has a poor performance, but we really feel like, with certain guys, we know they're going to bounce back. They just have that resiliency, and he has that. He has the confidence. He's resilient. He's talented. He's getting better, and he's very determined. And I think you're seeing guys start to step up around him, and that's contagious. And so that's good to see.
Are you?
What is the status of Ken Seals and Rocco Griffin right now?
So I'll start with Rocco. Rocco was back at practice yesterday, trending towards being available. I would say he's still questionable. He needs to make it through this week's practice, but we're hopeful for him. And Ken's back. I think we're just using this week to determine is he back to 100% and ready to lead the offense? And we'll make a decision on that later in the week. But he's back in practice fully, and we're excited to have him back. It's been great. It was great yesterday to have him back out there slinging it around. So we'll see how he responds through the week and make a decision later in the week on who starts.
Clark, how much did that break give your team, besides just the chance to heal up a little bit, but maybe give a little bit of a fresh start here for a final push to wrap up the season?
Well, that's the message. And I think it was for all of us. I mean, we've been through a lot in the first 9 games and learned a lot. I I think every team this time of year is dealing with that late season grind. And so both physically to refresh, mentally to refresh, and like you say, to come back in the final 3 games here, not just to get through them, but to attack and to continue to build this program through the end of the season is important. We want to continue to look for opportunities to develop the depth on our roster and the youth in our roster. And we want to take advantage of all the opportunities we have as Team One to continue to compete and to grow on the field. And so I thought practice yesterday was spirited. It looked like a fresh team, an energized team. And so hopefully the time off gives us a chance to launch here into the finish of the season and battle what every team is battling. That's, again, the accumulation of the grind. And it's a physical grind, it's a mental grind, but I'm excited to watch this team through to the finish.
Now, of course, Vanderbilt's not won an SEC game dating back to 2019. So this, of course, we said this a couple times this year, but this may be the best opportunity Vanderbilt has to get them an SEC win. You're getting a team on the decline. You're getting a team that's hurt. You're getting a team that's not as well rested as you are. You got to lay it all out on the line. Hopefully that your quarterbacks come back 100% and he give you a fighting chance in this one. And, hey, I'm not saying it's going to be an upset, but I'm just saying this one's got the makings of a potential upset there on the West End there in Nashville. So keep your eye out on this game. When a team is having a magical run and it all starts to go downhill, that's how you get things like last week. We have Florida losing to South Carolina. Would Vanderbilt beat Kentucky? Would that really be as big of an upset? I don't think it would be. So this is going to be an interesting one here on Saturday. Kentucky certainly, and on the flip side, I'm not trying to totally shit on Kentucky. This could be a great opportunity for them to snap that streak, finish strong. You got 3 winnable games to close out. You still have the opportunity to have a hell of a season and potentially go out with 4 wins if you win the bowl game and every game you got left in the regular season. So I just think there's a lot on the line here for both these teams, and it's going to come down to which team shows up.